Welcome to the Leaders Insights podcast. Today's episode, Data Governance Under Pressure, What CDOs Must Get Right in 2026. Regulatory fines for data mishandling crossed $4 billion globally in 2025. CDOs are under more pressure than ever, and yet most governance programs are still buried in IT. What's going wrong?
The fundamental error is treating governance as a technical problem. You buy a data catalog, you assign a steward, you tick a box. But when a regulator walks in, they don't want to see your tooling. They want to see accountability. Who made which decision about which data and when? Most organizations cannot answer that question cleanly.
So the gap is between documentation and actual decision ownership?
Exactly. Take what happened with a major European bank last year. They had a full metadata catalog, beautifully maintained. But when the ECB asked them to demonstrate lineage on a specific credit risk model, they couldn't trace it back through 3 acquired entities. The catalog showed the data existed. It couldn't show where it came from or who had touched it. That's a governance failure, not a technology failure.
AI has obviously complicated this. Every business unit is spinning up models. How does that change the CDO's mandate in 2026?
It turns the CDO into a kind of air traffic controller. You've got marketing running a customer segmentation model, finance using a forecasting tool from a third-party vendor, operations piloting something built internally. Each of those models is consuming data, and in many jurisdictions, the EU AI Act being the clearest example, you now have to document the training data for high-risk models. That documentation requirement lands squarely on the CDO's desk, not the CISOs, not the CTOs.
Cross-border data flows are another pressure point. The US-EU adequacy picture has been unstable for years. How are CDOs actually managing that right now?
Most are running what I'd call defensive architecture. They're building data residency by default, rather than waiting for legal clarity. Microsoft and AWS have both expanded their sovereign cloud offerings significantly, and CDOs at companies like Siemens and AXA have been restructuring their data contracts to specify jurisdiction at the table level, not just the system level. It's granular, it's slow, but it's the only thing that survives an audit.
You've said publicly that CDOs who treat governance as infrastructure will outlast those who treat it as policy. What does that actually mean in practice?
Policy is a document. Infrastructure is a system with observable behavior. When you embed governance into pipelines so that a dataset cannot move across a boundary without logging a justification, without triggering a classification check, you've made compliance structurally unavoidable rather than behaviorally dependent. Maersk did something close to this after their own internal audit exposed gaps in how logistics data was being shared with port authorities across 12 countries. They rebuilt the data movement layer first, then updated the policy to reflect what the system already enforced.
One thing a CDO can do this week?
Map your 3 highest-risk AI models to their training data and find out if you can actually produce that lineage on demand. If you can't, that's your roadmap.
To go further, Leaders Insights offers strategic training programs, diagnostic tools, and an executive self-assessment designed for CMOs, CDOs, CFOs, and leaders aiming for board-level performance. Explore everything at mba-training.com. Thank you for listening to the Leaders Insights podcast. See you tomorrow for another episode.